know, man. I need my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's either there or I left it upstairs. Yeah, it's upstairs.
Okay. I'll be quick.
All right, we're live. I assume that the mic works. I normally have my cell phone in front of me. Left it upstairs when I changed clothes. So, today, we give everybody a chance to get in here. Happy Tuesday to you guys. I'm Captain Constitution, coming at you live from South Jackson. What a day. When news breaks, we break with it. And news is broken. And it's not necessarily good news for Jackson businesses. I guess it is good news for Rankin County bars and restaurants, assuming that their leadership doesn't follow suit. So, we shall see. My wife is grabbing my phone for me. I can't believe I did that. I always have my phone on me. I changed pants and left it upstairs. So let's just get started, man. I got some notes here. The mayor, CHOKWE, took time from fighting crime and making sure we have good, clean drinking water and safe streets to drive on and live on, to sign an executive order, to pick on bars and nightclubs again. Thank you. Signed an executive order to pick on bars and nightclubs. Is my volume on? Can you hear me?
Okay.
All right. Cool. So we are here. So goes into effect tonight at 11:59 p.m. Bars and restaurants will. Bars and restaurants. Okay. Sorry. Now I got everything right. 11:59 p.m. Bars and restaurants. Pretty much anything known as a beer bar, a nightclub, or a strip club, or a private bar. I don't know too much about that. There's not a whole lot of private clubs, but I'm guessing when they say that, they're referring to possibly like a moose lodge or, Shriners type temples, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't want to sit there and tell you they're closed, but, no private social clubs. We'll all have to close not permanently, but down for the next week. And it goes into effect. So it lasts until 11:59 August 11th. So I guess it could open back up at midnight on the 12th. But I guess the governor's executive order is in place and it will supersede that because they've got to be closed at 11. So I guess that's a moot point. But why are we still picking on bars and restaurants? I mean, not restaurants too, for that matter, but bars this time. I mean, of all the things, and I don't know if you've been out to one lately, but they're not exactly busting out the seams with people. But why, if you're going to close bars and restaurants because you're worried about young people getting the virus and bringing it back to old people, you almost have to close schools, don't you? I mean, if you're just using that logic and you spread it wide open, you almost have to close that. But don't get me wrong, I don't want them to close Walmart or any of these places, but I still don't understand why anything in there is considered mandatory outside of the grocery department. I don't want to back myself into a socialist corner there, but I'm just like, why close it? If people decide they want to go out, let them go out. And this ain't the first time though that bars and restaurants have been picked on in a time of crisis. My favorite Melton ever, my favorite mayor ever, Frank Melton, he did the same thing when he first came in. Bars and nightclubs are low-hanging fruit. They make for a juicy headline when you close one down. I mean, Frank wore Tenoris and them out over there at upper level. I mean, that's what all that big fuss was about. Frank had the mobile command unit. One of those famous pictures of Frank sitting in the mobile command unit looking half drunk and wore out was one of the nights I believe he was out there messing with upper level and Tenoris. So, hell, when we had 105, they came in and arrested my dad of all damn people and charged him with 20 some odd counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor for letting kids in without IDs. Well, two things there. We didn't let people in without IDs. We damn sure didn't charge them more to get in. And the real hoot on this one is, in Jackson anyway, I can't speak for all of Mississippi, but in Jackson, Hinds County, contributing to the delinquency of a minor is not even a law on the books anymore. They had to throw it all out. So they've been going for low-hanging fruit for years. It's a lot sexier to mess with bars and restaurants because you kind of put on people's emotions. A lot of us met well, not me, but a lot of y'all met your wives and husbands in a bar or nightclub. There's no telling how many kids I'm responsible for having because y'all met at one of my bars and went home over the years. Hell, I can think of a dozen off the top of my head, but I'm not going to do that to y'all by naming names. These are gathering places, man. They're not all bad. It ain't all terrible stuff that goes on in these places. People dance, shake the booty, have a little fun, watch a band. And that's the other thing. It doesn't just affect, it's easy to sit there and say, well, y'all don't need to be out drinking and congregating anyway. But what you don't think is these are local business owners. There's no national chain nightclubs and bars around Jackson. All of these places that are being shut down, that are affected by this, are locally owned. Every last one of them. Your neighbor, your brother, your mother, your sister, your cousin, your uncle, your niece. They're owned by somebody that lives here locally. They employ local people. The bands and DJs that play in them, local. I'm sitting here, one of the owners of Pops is commenting on my stuff. I mean, those are guys that give back. Just good people, man. And it affects somewhere like them really hard. Because they're a beer bar. I know they got their little kitchen thing off to the side. I don't know if they'll be able to, navigate the waters and be able to stay open a little bit. I know strip clubs, done. There's no in the middle there. They're closed for the next week. Say what you want. I'm not here to cast judgment on what goes on at those places. To each their own. But again, that's people who depend on that money to feed their families. And that's how you need to look at this. Don't look at what goes on in these places. Look at it that these are local people, your neighbors, that depend on these establishments to pay their bills and put food on their tables. So that's what I always try to think about when we do this, because I did it for 15, almost 20 years. And here's the other thing. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna make a big fuss about bars and nightclubs. But if you didn't watch my live stream last night, let's go over it again. CHOKWE blames the dire, and I quote, dire situation in Jackson, Mississippi on Tate Reeves for reopening. Meanwhile, does not mention all the protests that went on in Jackson, the city-sponsored street ball tournament that went on with about 1,000 people, wide-ass open in the city streets without mask on. Doesn't mention July tying April for the deadliest month in Jackson history for crime. And that April of this year. So that's 2 months within the COVID that we had our deadliest months ever. He doesn't mention the 13 shot and 4 killed in the last, I guess it's, 4 days now. That puts us at 67 homicides for 2020. That is 297 homicides since the year he took office, 2017. So we will easily surpass 350 by the end of the year, barring, some peace in the streets. But let's worry about a couple of bars and lounges and nightclubs potentially spreading COVID. This is what makes it hard for me to understand and take this seriously, because we have all these little nuances and rules and 6 feet apart and sneeze guards between booths and all this nonsense from the top down. And I do blame some of it on Tate, but not the spread of it, but just some of the chaos of all of it and the misunderstanding and the fear mongering. I blame that on Tate, and it just trickles down. But we have all these rules and regulations, but nobody's who is going to enforce this? Is JPD going to enforce this? I mean, come on, man. It's hard to take this serious when I can't pull out onto Terry Road without having to swerve into traffic head on to avoid busting a rim in a pothole. My life is way more in danger driving from my neighborhood to get on the interstate at Elton Road than it is, and then it exponentially increases the closer to downtown I get, because Jackson's murder rate is 15 times higher than Chicago's per capita. Hell, just close it all down. That's the case. I shouldn't say that. I don't close any of it down is my point. I don't want to encourage anybody. Let me see these comments here. Well, actually, I got a few other things I want to talk about concerning this. I didn't plan on going on this early today. Barely got my coffee in me. It's my day off. Just kind of chilling. Hey, on the bright side, you do have till midnight tonight to go frequent. So if anybody wants to get together for a day party somewhere in Jackson and send somewhere out with a bang, happy hour at Pops today. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Or wherever, I support Pops because they're friends of mine. But, go where you go. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, this is a real slap in the face to bars and restaurants. And it has been for bars and nightclubs. It has been for a while. Frank Melton uses his punching bags. I don't know if y'all remember Gladney. He ran the Vice Department in Jackson for a long time. He despised nightclubs and strip clubs and all that stuff, and was always in them, shutting us down. I had a permit expire one time. Not even a beer permit, just a simple ordinance permit, for people being able to gather in public. Instead of letting somebody know, hey, the city making a friendly call to a business owner, hey, you need to get down here to the city. Your permit expires Friday. They'll have to shut you down if you don't make it. No. Because the city is at war with its businesses, and it has been for a long time, and that's why they're leaving in droves. So that was Memorial Day weekend. We were at Club 105. Man, when you do this for a living, it is hard to keep up with everything. Does it fall on my lap because we forgot to get the permit renewed? Absolutely. But we lost almost $15,000 in revenue that weekend, and that's tax dollars that could have gone to the city, but they were more concerned about shutting us down for the weekend. And it's just stuff like that. And that's why Jackson is where it's at. It's not, when you open up in Jackson, you're opening up against Jackson. They don't want businesses here. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, they've basically succeeded from the rest of the state. And nobody cared. Can't drink the water here, but you can't go buy a beer and sit down at a bar. Still no mention of the murder rate. I'm just going to run through my notes here. Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. If you look at the numbers, the coronavirus numbers, Tuesday is always the highest number. It's what sets the tone for the rest of the week. Mondays are slow, a low number. Yesterday's number was 572 new cases, 8 deaths. I fully expect today to be closer to the 2,000. It will, whether it's true or not, it will be close to 2,000 new cases today. And I predict more than, probably 50 to 100 deaths. And that's what they're going to use as a catalyst to tell you that school's not starting back right now. I think after having a night to sleep on it, I think they'll postpone the start of school for a month. I don't think they'll do virtual learning. I think they'll just completely postpone start of school for a month versus having to get everybody ramped up with computers and everything else. I could be wrong. They may just say, we've got it figured out. We can virtual learn for the first month. I hope so. I mean, worst case scenario, I hope that's what they do. Let me jump into some of these comments. Yeah. Megan, what should be a shirt? I missed that. What did I say? Or what did somebody else say? Tate school closing. We will be live. I'm going to watch the Tate press conference live or immediately after. I'd like to do like a reaction show during it, but I know most of y'all watch this stuff on your phones and laptops. It's hard to watch two things at once. But I imagine I would be entertaining for y'all. So we're going to watch y'all fun boys close to the mayor, all bars and strippers. So we're going to watch the press conference today. I assume it'll be at 2:30. That's when they've been having them. We're going to keep you guys up to date. We're going to talk about the school stuff. Man. So just to recap, you cannot buy a beer or mixed drink in a bar after 11:59 tonight, which technically they're supposed to close and stop serving at 11 anyway, but they're closing the establishments down. Like, they had been allowed to stay open after 11, and you BYOB pretty much. Or if they serve liquor, I guess they were just allowing you to hang out. You could buy buckets. I don't know, man. I haven't been in them. I just don't get out like I used to. For me right now, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. It's not a fear of COVID. It's just a fear of, I don't like being overly policed. So if I can't go out and go all out, I'd just rather not go out. Plus I'm old. Let's see. Clay's going to jump out of these comments fast. Man, let's see. We'll read some comments, man. You guys are all in, man. We got 150 people in here watching. Those strong. 142. That's strong numbers for a middle of the day live feed, early morning. What do y'all think, man? Just a quick thumbs up, thumbs down. I mean, do y'all feel like bars and nightclubs should be the punching bag every time something goes wrong and be blamed? The super spreaders, as they want to refer to them as. I don't want to sit here and say, if you shut them down, you got to shut everything down, because that's not fair to the other businesses. I just think there has to be some self-responsibility here. Like, look at the age group of people getting the stuff. I mean, I broke it down for y'all last night. The people who are the sickest and the highest case numbers are not people that are out in bars and restaurants. And I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say they're not catching it from little Johnny and little Susie that live with them. If you are over 90 years old, who are you associating with? And let me rewind a little. If you're over 60 years old, who are you associating with that's going to bars and restaurants at such a clip that you're worried about catching corona? Deaths for 18 to 59-year-olds, 286. Deaths for over 90, 227. That's only a 59 death difference for a much smaller demographic of people 90 and older. Where we know that the largest demographic of people in the state is 18 to 59. Hands down. Tenfold. I'm sure somebody can pull those census numbers or whatever and tell us that, within a few thousand, how many citizens we have in the state between 18 and 59 versus 90 and up. And then there is a category I'm leaving out. I know 70 to 79-year-olds. There's been 452 deaths of 70 to 79-year-olds. And 80 to 89, 384. Let's see. Massive explosion shakes Lebanon's. Breaking news here, but I believe that's national news there. Breaking news. Massive explosion shakes Lebanon's capital, Beirut. Well, that's ironic, because Jackson looks a lot like Beirut. I hear my wife. I hear me walking in the room. That's kind of funny. Did you need something? No. Crystal's back, y'all. What y'all think, man? Little red, white, oh, no red, but the old George Washington flags. I got this stuff from 1776 United, I think is the name of the website. They got some pretty cool stuff. All right, we got some comments here. Let me jump into these real quick. We've got somebody here fixing our washing machine, so my dogs are going crazy. What about casinos? Mayon, thank you so much for mentioning casinos. Casinos don't abide by the same rules us simpletons do. They don't, they're controlled by the gaming commission. And if the gaming commission doesn't shut them down, I don't believe they have to shut down. They're such big money makers. And that's the other thing, man. If you'll go to a casino, and now that is hands down, I don't have no statistical proof. This is just I'm a big eyeball test person. If I see it with my eyes, it makes a lot more sense. We know that senior citizens stay up in casinos. It's what they do. I mean, they go over there by the busloads. And, you know, senior citizens, what, 65 and older by definition? So 60 to 69-year-olds, 362 deaths. 80 to 89-year-olds, 384. So the age group that would potentially be in a casino in the larger numbers, especially during the daytime hours, would be your 60 to 89-year-olds. And that's over 700 deaths. But they didn't catch that there. They got that from little Jimmy that was at the bar and brought it back to them. So we're going to close down the bar. It's how much more? I mean, do they think that people are really in the bars, you know, spreading this crap? I mean, it's good for Rankin County. My friends over there at BB's Live, you know, Daryl, Melissa, you know, hopefully, I know Melissa owns the place. Daryl just affiliated with them. You know, hopefully they'll see a windfall of business. I guess Shulker's out in Ridgeland. You know, you're driving people into Rankin County to spend tax dollars. You say, no, we don't want your money. We want to put these businesses out of business. I'm curious. There's a few little, I kind of call them outlaw clubs around town that refuse to abide by any rules, stay wide open during all this. I don't want to be COVID Karen here, but I do believe everybody should play by the rules. And I've already talked to some people who plan on making sure that everybody plays by the same rules. So it will be interesting. I'm not going to be the one to do it. Let me rephrase that. But I know some people who plan on making sure everybody's playing by the same set of rules. Are the fun boys going to close themselves down again? Probably not. Yeah, I don't think they got to worry about COVID. They got other things they need to worry about. Vicksburg closed down before any other town, and the people got tired and said, screw it. It had very little to do with the casinos. Yeah. I got a sinus infection from a mask. You know, I did get a sinus infection. I was scared to tell anybody I had a sinus infection. You can't get anything without it being COVID now. I mean, people are scared to death to say they have anything. It's like I have a headache. I mean, I know I ranted on this about this last week, but you can't even clear your throat in public anymore, and people think you're spreading the black plague, bubonic plague, whatever, black plague, bubonic plague. Man, this is exhausting. So where are we day drinking at? We going to Pops? All right, so I'm just going to hit the comments up here. Somebody said the bingo parlor better be closed. Yeah, I mean, what's the difference in the bingo parlor and the strip club as far as that goes? I mean, it's social gathering. You know, they wouldn't let people go to church forever. You know, I guess the churches are finally back open somewhat. But I mean, you can't, here's the one that really grinds my gears. You know, funerals. You know, having to do graveside only for the most part. And that's terrible. Terrible. I had a friend of the family die that I considered a loved one, but I did not, and then they did like a ride through kind of funeral thing, John Hardy, but I haven't had to go to a funeral of a loved one, but I would be devastated to know that we couldn't have a traditional homegoing celebration. It's really sad. And then what if it rains that day? You know, it's just terrible, man. The girl said she coughed in the Kroger checkout line and the lady in front of her left. So before masks became mandatory and it was just a political statement, I walked through the Kroger and buy them without a mask on because I held on as long as I could. And it was like I was radiating COVID down the aisle. It was like parting the Red Sea. Like if you had a mask on and people were over there looking at the good steaks, or if they had a mask on and you didn't, and you wanted to get over there, all you had to do was just walk over there without a mask and scattering like cats. It was really great. Now I just see people damn near coming to blows over masks. I'll argue with anybody about it, but I ain't got time. I'm trying to get my steak, get in, get out, get back to the house and cook. Let's see. So it looks like for the most part, oh yes, the John Lewis funeral. Now, if you're John Lewis or George Floyd, you can have multi-state week-long funerals and the rules don't apply. But whatever. I want to make sure I don't miss any of y'all's comments here. Y'all been bringing the heat here lately. I'm working on a program where I can highlight the good comments from my laptop and put them up on the screen and get you guys some love. But I think overall, I think most people kind of see that they're tired of it. It's like, what else, man? I want this mayor to do something about the day-to-day stuff. COVID be damned. And maybe I would take, and I think most people are probably on the same page here, maybe you would take these restrictions and these executive orders more serious. I think this is the best way to frame this up. I'll be a little respectful here. I would take this stuff way more serious if I didn't have to drink my water out of a bottle. If I could drive down the road without having to swerve into traffic to keep from hitting a pothole. If the murder rate wasn't 15 times higher than Chicago's per capita. If we weren't sitting at nearly 300 murders since he took took office in July of 2017. I want to say the number was like 37 around the time he took office, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But we're just going to say from July 2017 to today, we're sitting at 297 murders. You know, I would take it all a lot more serious if the two deadliest months in the history of the city had happened April and July of 2020 during the quote-unquote lockdowns, the era of COVID. You know, do some real stuff. Quit having a press conference to pave a street nobody drives down. There's not a single business or house on. You know, these are the things people are concerned about. Get our damn water bill straight. Where did that money go? Where did that Siemens money go? What are y'all doing with it? I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I keep fighting, you know, people are like, oh, you're not saving Jackson. Of course I'm not saving Jackson. I'm trying to save y'all from dying in Jackson. By letting y'all know what's going on here. You know, you attempt to hold people accountable and responsible for what they're supposed to do. You know, people need to be tuned up every now and then. If anybody got anything else they want to talk about before I get off here? Yep, Lance said it good here. COVID restrictions are low-hanging fruit. Everything else takes too much work. Absolutely. That's it, man. It's just, like I said about bars and nightclubs, it's just low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit. It's like, you know, it only affects the people that like to go to them. Let me rephrase that. They think it only affects the people that like to go to them, but it affects so many families. There's people you go to church with that own bars. I mean, there's rumors out there that CHOKWE is invested into a bar, a nightclub or two. I can't confirm that, but you know, I know there was always a rumor that his dad was involved in Freelons. How true that is, I don't know. I believe his office was out front, you know, shared a building with it. I don't know if that necessarily meant he was part owner or not. You know, maybe he just rented an office space. But, you know, I guess, you know, you look at somebody's tax returns and find out. So it'd be interesting to see if those bars are abiding by the same rules. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Megan. I mean, it affects their families. It affects everybody. I've been in Jackson 26 days. I have 11 more to go. This place is so sad. Nothing is going to change. Sad to see. Yep. Yep, Rob. I think I said that on my Facebook page the other day. I've turned into the Jacktown Alex Jones. But hey, you know, it is proven out that Alex was kind of right about a lot of that crazy stuff. I mean, I'm not going to go full on conspiracy theory about things, but it does, you know, our TVs are listening to us. The New World Order is trying to make it a cashless society. You know, I mean, these are things that I thought I was listening to Alex for good fiction. I didn't know it was a warning. But look, I'm gonna jump off here, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll jump back in, you know, at some point during the governor's press conference, because he kind of loses me after his announcements. At least he's not doing happy birthdays still. Y'all have a blessed day. Y'all stay safe out there. And if any news breaks, we'll break with it. Peace out.